Welcome back to our journey on quantum mechanics. Today I would like you to take back to your childhood memories. See what this guy is doing? All of you must have done this type of activity, right? So he is throwing a stone to still water. Once he throws the stone, what will we see? We'll see the patterns like this over the water surface, right? What are these? These are nothing but wave. Now, let me show you one more fun activity. What these kids are doing over here? They are making sand castles, right? You must be remembering your childhood memories. I am also remembering. No problem. Now also you can do this type of activity. So these sand castles are made up of sand particles. So today we will be discussing some concepts based on this wave nature and particle nature. That is wave particle duality and de Broglie hypothesis. Coming to our topic, in your intermediate, you must have read about interference of light, reflection, diffraction of light, etc. So for the derivation of these concepts, you must have used the wave nature of light, right? Now, going back to few of our lectures, what we have discussed are photoelectric effect, Compton effect, black body radiations, right? So these are the concepts. To understand this concept, what we have used? We have used the particle nature of light. This shows that light can behave both as particle and wave. That is what the name is wave particle duality. Right? Not only light, all the electromagnetic waves can behave both as wave and particle. So once we were telling that light is behaving as a wave, we need some parameters to describe that wave. So this is a wave. This wave can be characterized by using different parameters like amplitude. What is amplitude? That is the maximum displacement from the mean position. Wavelength. What is wavelength? That is one complete cycle, length of one complete cycle. Frequency. Frequency is nothing but number of complete cycles per unit time. Speed, phase, intensity, all these are the physical parameters which are required to describe a wave. Now coming to the particle nature, what are the things we need to describe a particle? These are characterized by its shape, size, position, mass, momentum, energy, velocity, etc. Now it is concluded that light can behave both as wave and particle. Once this concept is clear that light is behaving both as particle and wave, there was a scientist, Louis de Broglie. He put forward a hypothesis. Now we'll see what is that hypothesis. So this scientist is Louis de Broglie. Now, in some of our previous lectures like photoelectric effect, Compton effect, what we have seen, a photon is coming and it is interacting with a matter particle, right? So that is the basis for de Broglie's claim. He told that if photon and matter particles are interacting with each other and light is having the dual nature, then why not these matter particles? So based on his claim, he came up with an hypothesis which he proposed in 1924, and in this hypothesis, he told that every moving matter has an associated wave. Whatever the matter particle, if it is moving with some velocity, then certainly there are some waves associated with that particle. And according to his name, this name of the associated wave is known as de Broglie wave, and further as it is associated with a matter particle, that is also known as matter wave. He also told that this wavelength of this matter wave of de Broglie wave is inversely proportional to the momentum. So this is the hypothesis proposed by de Broglie. You'll be surprised to know that because of this hypothesis, he got the Nobel Prize in 1929. Now we'll see the derivation of this de Broglie wavelength. Okay. So what we are considering here, a photon is coming and it is interacting with the matter particle. From that he came to this hypothesis. So considering a photon, according to Einstein's theory, the energy can be written as E is equals to mc square, because photon is quantum of light energy, so its velocity is equals to c. That's what it is written, E is equals to mc square. M is the mass of the photon, c is the velocity. Now from Planck's theory, what we have seen in last lectures, E is equals to h into nu. Nu is the frequency, and both are representing the energy of a photon. So equating these two equations, we can write down h nu is equals to mc square. Further, we know that the velocity frequency is related by an equation b is equals to nu lambda, right? So this nu can be written as c by lambda, that is velocity upon wavelength. From here, this c will get cancelled from both the sides and we are deriving the expression for wavelength. So from here we can write wavelength is equals to h by mc, because 1 c will get cancelled. This mc, if you take to the left hand side, it will go to the denominator and this lambda will come here. So lambda is equals to h by mc, and mc is nothing but our momentum p, right? So this is for a photon. Now similarly, if we consider a matter particle, then, and if the mass of the matter particle is m and if it is moving with a velocity v, then we can write the wavelength associated with the matter particle is equals to h by mb, that is nothing but h by p. So in general, we can write down lambda is equals to h by p, where lambda is the de Broglie wavelength. And what is this h? That is Planck's constant, and p is nothing but momentum of the matter particle. We'll see one more derivation for this wavelength, that is in terms of potential difference. You all might be knowing that whenever we are applying an electric field, then the charged particles inside the electric field will move, right? Here for this derivation, we will be considering an electron moving inside an electric field of potential V. Okay, so the electron of charge E, mass m, is moving with a velocity v when the applied potential is capital B. Now considering the electrical energy, that is E is equals to E V. E is the charge, V is the potential. This is the general formula. And when it is moving, from where it is getting the kinetic energy, it is coming from the applied electric field, right? So this kinetic energy can be written as E is equals to half mv square, and as it is coming from this applied electric field, these two can be equated, and by equating these two, one can write half mv square is equals to ev. But what we are interested for this p or mv. Here I am just multiplying m on both the sides of the equations. Taking this 2 to the right hand side, one can write this as m square v square is equals to 2 mev. I have just multiplied m on both sides of the equation, and I have taken this 2 to the right hand side of the equation. Understood? Now, this m square v square, what is this? This is nothing but mv whole square, and mv is nothing but our momentum p. So I can write down this as p square is equals to 2 mev. Now what we are interested for? We are interested for the de Broglie wavelength. And de Broglie wavelength is nothing but lambda is equals to h by p. So if I substitute the value of p from here back to in this equation, I can get the equation of lambda in terms of the applied potential. Okay, so from here p is equals to square root of 2 mev. Just put this back to the general formula. then we'll get lambda is equals to h by square root of 2 MeV. And further, this EV is nothing but the electrical energy, capital E. So these two are the equations for de Broglie wavelength when an electron is moving inside an applied electric field. Now we can further simplify these things, because here this H is our Planck's constant, M is mass, E is charge of electron. So we can just simplify this to a simpler form. Now just by putting the values of these constants, that is H is equals to 6.625 into 10 power minus 34 joules second. M is mass of electron, that is 9.11 into 10 power minus 31 kg. What about E? That is charge of electron, which is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. Just substitute all these values back over here. You will get that H lambda is equals to 1.227 divided by square root of V, where V is our applied electric potential. And this is the unit for this wavelength is nanometer. So always whenever you are writing a physical quantity, you are supposed to mention this unit, because this matters a lot. If you are writing this in nanometer, this will be different. If you are writing it in meter, you will be getting some other factors over here, right? Now, in your exam, sometimes you'll be getting that numericals where you'll be giving the value for V, and you were asked to find out the wavelength or de Broglie wavelength. Then one can directly use this formula if you remember this numerator value. Otherwise, you have to put all those values over here and you have to do the calculation. Okay. So this is the simplified formula for wavelength of an electron when that electron is moving in a potential capital V. Now we'll see one more derivation for de Broglie wavelength, that is in terms of temperature. Okay. So when a gas particle is moving in from one place to other, then at thermal equilibrium, the energy is given as 3 by 2 kT. This you must have read in your thermodynamics. So what is this K over here? This is nothing but Boltzmann constant. T is the temperature in absolute scale. Okay. So now lambda is equals to H by P or H by 2m square root. This derivation we have already done. Here what I am doing, I'll just put the value of this E over here. Okay. So just by putting 3 by 2 kT in place of this E, what will happen? 2 will get cancelled. I'll be left with 3 mkt. Right? So lambda is equals to H by P or H by square root of 3 mkt, where m is the mass of the gas particle, whichever gas we are considering, whatever the mass of those gas particles is m, K is our Boltzmann constant, T is temperature, that is in Kelvin. So if all these things are known to you, one can find out what is the value of lambda or the de Broglie wavelength associated with that gas particle. Now what we have seen, this is the general formula for de Broglie wavelength, that is lambda is equals to H by P, and this is in terms of applied electric potential or electrical energy, whatever is given, accordingly you can choose the formula. Now this can be simplified further to obtain this new formula, that is lambda is equals to 1.227 by square root of V. And we have also seen one more formula, that is in terms of the temperature, that is lambda is equals to H by square root of 3m kT. So these are different formulas for the matter wave or de Broglie wave associated with a matter particle when it is in motion. Okay. So today we'll stop here. In the next class, we'll see some of the properties of these matter waves and some numericals based on this formula. Thank you and have a nice day.